Happy Friday, everyone. Wherever you are listening, if you're live or listening later, this week I have a special week because this week is my week on savoring. And I invited people this week who've had really big impacts on my life, personally and professionally. And because I believe we need to savor in the moment times we have with people. And today I have joining with me Dr. Ardeshire Mehran, and he is one of the most beautiful souls. And in fact, he invited me to a group called Souls on Fire that had a very impact and still does today on me. And he also is the author of a book that I read, and I actually cite in my upcoming book, Thrive. You are not depressed. You are just unfinished, which is, if you haven't seen his book or read his book, I would definitely recommend his book. And not only his book, but him as a person and his services and everything about him. Thank you so much for ending my week, the week of savoring with Dr. Ardeshire. Thank you so much for being here today. Why don't you introduce yourself, tell everyone who you are and what you're passionate about.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you, Gina, and all the listeners who are joining us wherever you're in this world. Ardeshire Mehran, and I'm a psychologist, and so many credentials is embarrassing to mention that, but I know my science, so if you want to go there. And I'm reaching out to you from San Francisco. It's a beautiful sunny day, so you may hear lawnmowers and dogs barking. Friday is a neighborhood cleaning day, so
I love that. Let's do that.
life, things happen. My golden retriever is sleeping in the other side of the house. I said, "Are you done? Let's go. Can we go for a walk?"
Right.
So I'm a psychologist but more than that, I'm a skeptical scientist. And I didn't know this, that I was on a quest in a long period of my life about why do people get, including me, emotionally ill? Sisters, brothers, and why do we get emotionally ill, especially depression? And why does it take so long, weeks, months, years, to heal depression, medication, therapist? I thought there's something not right. Both that question and also how we as psychologists practice healing. So I went on a lifelong, almost 4 decades, trying to figure out what is mental illness and are there better ways to heal? And the answer is, I have a better sense about mental illness, and I will describe it in this call. And there's a much better, more effective way of healing that doesn't take months and years and so on and cost and always just get partial. No, I'm done with that. We want good healing. We want fast healing. We want lasting healing.
Yeah. Everyone, right? There's so many people that need this. Everyone needs healing. Everyone,
Right.
every
Right.
single person. So you're on this quest, to discover how you can attribute and how you can build this framework. Can you think of a time that, and I'm sure there are, I know we've talked about some, but that there were hurdles that stood in your way of your passion, like kind of held you back, or that you had to overcome to get to where you are today?
I think the hurdle was what was shared with me and so many other therapists and clients, patients, as the truth. Truth is mental illness is even the term mental illness. What actually, and then it's about your brain chemistry, is about your hormones. And so we need to, so there were element of recommendation, scientific, so-called scientific knowledge that was shared with me, and I believed in that. So the biggest aha was actually what was shared with me was partial truth.
Oh.
And the biggest learning that I had in life, and I want the clients, the listeners to pay attention to, we all have a view to reality, what we see. By our lens of viewing, it determines what we actually see and what we act on. Once we open our lens about what else is going on. When somebody says, I'm depressed, I'm anxious, I have ADHD, this my clients to say that. Instead of saying, you're depressed, let me help you resolve your depression, try to say, what else is going on in this person's life? Where
Mm.
did it come from? Are they happy? Who's in the house with them? What kind of a childhood they had? Hear their stories. The same thing with their ADHD. Once you do that, you see there are dimensions to human experience. So the biggest aha that I had was don't trust what is presented to you as science. That
Mm.
includes me. Whoever presents anything to you, ask the question, where's your evidence and does it feel right? Does it feel
Yes.
light? Is it is it easy to explain? If it takes a lot of explanation, something's off track. If you go to therapy and you just get partial results and you see your anxiety, depression, and so on comes up, that something's not working, ask another question. So for me, I start to ask different questions. Why? Because I was hurting. I was in depression.
Mm.
There were periods in my life I come to realize that I'm going to die depressed.
Wow.
That was depressing by itself. My mom and dad, a number of my relatives, they passed on, not fully healed themselves. And I didn't
Mm.
want that to happen to me. So
Absolutely.
questions, and if you're in pain and if there's a problem is not resolved, ask why and look deeper and look broader.
Mm. That is amazing advice because you don't really think about asking questions when you're in the state of despair.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, I think it's like one of those things that if you lost your passion,
yeah, yeah.
and you're feeling like a dead end, you feel like you can't get out of bed. So what would you say to that person who is feeling so depressed that they don't see a way forward,
Yeah,
and they don't even know how to begin to ask
yeah.
questions?
Yeah. So here's a part when you're in this state of despair, and for me, I was in a state of despair, and for so long. So what I was doing, I knew it. I'm a father. I was an executive, and so on. I knew if I stopped, I would crumble. So I would start to run, to exercise, and so on.
Mm.
So here's a key part: when we are in despair, we are looking for something to ease our pain. The way to come out of it is to bring your attention to right now, right here. So let me demonstrate a way to do that. When we are in a state of despair, we are also in this state of anxiety. Anxiety and depression, they're like twins, they feed off of each other. When we are in a state of anxiety, our breathing becomes shallow. If you can see me, it goes like this. When that happens, our gut tightens,
Mm.
churning. That means cortisol, adrenaline shoots to our bloodstream. That are we going to the state? I'm not feeling well. World is on fire. I'm just collapsing. A way to do a breathing, and I want to demonstrate. You take a deep breath, and then you take one more breath on top of that, and you let it out slowly. It goes like this. Once you do that, basically you're hacking your nervous system.
Mm.
You're telling your nervous system, I am okay. In this very second, I am okay. And as you do this, I invite you to put your hand either on your lap, get a pen, touch your face. All of this is bringing you to here and now. And in that moment, you've done the breathing, you bringing yourself to here and now, to your five senses. Ask the simplest question. In this moment, what is one thing, a small thing, joyful thing that I can do right now? And it could be as easy as I'm going to go brush my teeth, comb my hair, glass of cold water. We think as a way for us to calm, we need to do something drastic. No, we need
Mm.
to do something small that is pleasing and it's tiny. Why is that important? It teaches our body that I own me, I own my moment, and I own my pleasure. And after that, we learn to do the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. The journey of coming back, my friends, is not about I need to go climb Mount Everest. It means the journey of tiny actions that they're good and here for me to come out. So our body learns from despair to action, from despair to ownership to come out.
Wow. That's really powerful. I think a lot of times, and a lot of people suggest and they think about big events,
Yeah, yeah,
like I'm going to go run a marathon, and it's difficult. And then they don't get there. And then they're feeling even more,
that's
despair and
right.
anxiety.
Absolutely. We end up feeling worse about ourselves. I suck. I can't do anything. What happens when we are in despair? We want to have trust in ourselves that I can do things, small things, joyful things. A glass of water, maybe twist a lemon in it, put some Coke in it, anything that's good for you. Oh, this was okay. I can do this. Then do more of that. For me, when I'm
Yeah.
in bed, I go to the kitchen and I make a scrambled eggs. That's
Oh,
the basic thing. Have a strong cup of coffee. Hey, it's a great day. I have my coffee, scrambled egg. Life is good. That's all I want.
absolutely. So is this something that was like you learned, or what was foundational? Like you talked about how obviously you're a scientist, you're a doctor, and you came to yourself like, I need to start questioning this stuff I'm learning. Was there
Yeah.
a pivotal moment, or something that you learned, or something that came across that changed your path or your thinking on this? Can you
Yeah.
like remember? Or
Yeah. So there were, yes, great question. So there were elements I stumbled upon, and there are knowledge that I learned. So I mentioned depression and anxiety go hand in hand. the- I come to realize the knowledge of depression we are taught. If you go and even do search American Psychiatric Association depression symptoms, you get a list of depression about sleeping, pleasure seeking, concentration, fatigue, and so on. Those are all symptoms. What happened as I was looking at myself and my clients as a therapist, I noticed that when people talk about depression, they almost always tell a story.
Mm.
It's about relationship, about the sense that nobody sees them. They feel alone. They feel that they feel they don't matter to anybody. They feel that I don't know even what's my purpose in life. My clients were teaching me about their stories of wholeness, what they
Mm.
felt lost or they never get to experience. That became the basic of my work, the Bill of Emotional Rights, that we don't get depressed. We get depressed about something. What is that thing about emotional needs that we crave to have? The same way that if you don't take your vitamins over a period of time, at certain points you will have deficiency. People who are depressed, they have emotional deficiency. They don't know it. Nobody's taught them. They're trying to fix the symptom. So that was my revelation. Took 35 years, but it's
Wow.
available in my book. Then there was another thing that that saying, when the student ready, his teacher will come. I was looking at that people who were depressed, and these are senior people in key leadership roles, doctors,
Mm.
lawyers, scientists, parents, that there had bad gut, like
Mm.
constipation, the diarrhea or cardiovascular, bad skin, shoulder pain. And psychologists, they were just saying that it's psychosomatic, but what is it? So about 12 years ago, I stumbled upon the science of trauma, which is a
Mm.
growing science that for the first time in 150 years, we're discovering actually we humans have bodies. It's not just mental health, so these things happen in our head. No, we experience life and emotion with our entire body. And even the more interesting thing, emotions are not in our head, in our bodies, in our gut, in our tissues. We have memories at the cellular level. So it was then that I learned through the science of trauma and neurology that actually you need to bring the neurology of anxiety into the
Mm,
treatment.
mm.
So that's when panic attack happens. That's when you get people get anxious and they can't settle. Their bodies wired and frozen in a state of freeze. They're panicky. I learned a great deal through the science of trauma as a way to help an individual settle in your nervous system and then go seek and fulfill the emotional deficiency you have in your life. The outcomes where people would see me five, maybe 10, maximum 15 sessions. They were good to go. Most of them five
Wow.
sessions. Oh my gosh. And I would tell them, my job is to help you, almost like when you take your car for tune up. This is going on. This is going on. Teach you what to do that. I don't want you to come back to me. I don't need your money. Once you learn how to heal yourself, and you're good to go. And that's exactly what is happening.
Ah, that's incredible. I've read a lot of the same research about trauma and how that impacts you at the cellular level, and it goes with you for life until you, right? And so these like ailments it people struggle with when looking back and they look at the research, it's like, well, they went through abuse as a child, or whatever it is, it's powerful. And I think what you've like shared is the fact that once you can understand that this stuff is part of you, you can find a way to move forward, and help yourself, right?
Absolutely. What is important here, you just mentioned, we just don't get ill. We the whole person is involved. So here's a key data. Every day across United States primary care department, every day in adult primary care, up to 1/3 of visits are related to depression.
Mm-hmm.
People go, it's called functional illnesses. People go about body pain, gut pain, headache, migraine. And primary care doctors know it. Nobody knows, how do you tell this patient you need different kinds of treatment? That's how the opiate crisis has started. People were in pain, they were asking for better painkillers. So people are in pain, they are not feeling well, and they don't know who do you go to for healing.
Yes.
Doctors, the primary care doctors, I don't want to deal with the emotions, and the psychologist says, I don't want to deal with body. So there's this in between is about healing the person
Mm.
versus parts of them. And to me, it's catastrophe, but it's fantastic opportunity. Let's go
Yeah.
in, let's shake things up, let's help bring healing. And that's how it happened for me.
Yes, absolutely. So what keeps you happy then on a daily
This,
basis? Yeah.
this. I mean, like this. So, I mean, so there's irony to life. I struggled with depression for so long, and from
Mhm.
what is sad, I was a corporate leader, and people loved being around me. I was literally called life of the party. If there was a
Mm.
gathering, I was the first person I was invited. What they didn't realize how alone, lonely, and in pain I felt. Robin Williams, beloved actor, says that
Right.
people don't fake depression. People fake being okay. That's what I was doing.
Mhm.
And I was going over the years to seven psychologists, psychiatrists, and I felt I getting diagnosis medication, they keep missing me. What gives me hope these days? Seeing clients, and you may have seen some of them on LinkedIn and other social media, people say that I'm changed, that I feel that people living a different life.
Mm.
I went through so much a struggle finding a way, so I'm in service of others. So my life meant something. That gives me the joy. And I keep thinking, Ardeshir, don't waste your time. Do the work. Serve. Bring your message. Suffering should not be part of our lives. That's what gives me joy.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And you know what? That's the thing. You're living that. You're doing that every day. You've done it for so many people. You've done it for me. You've made you're a connector. You're a giver. You're a servant leader. You're all of those things. And I think that's beautiful. And the authenticity to share your struggles to help others is
Thank you. Thank you.
and yeah, absolutely. What do you think? This season, I this is my second season, and I have this question I think about a lot, and it's about winning. The word winning means a lot to a lot of different folks. What does winning mean to you?
To be honest, winning is enjoying the moment that is right in front of you. I mean,
Yeah.
what I'm trying to so the the lesson that I have and I want to share, life happens in between places. Think about the life you have, night and day, good and bad, ugly, beautiful, happy and sad. We all live in that in between. If you go one way or the other is extreme. So winning is knowing you're in between, making trade-off choices. What do I do right now? Right now,
Mm.
that is honest, is real, pushing the limit, not being drastic, pushing the limit and doing something good. For example, right now, for me, on this Friday afternoon, for me, winning is that my wife is at work, my sons is at work, and our house in the last few days hasn't been clean. Dishes in the sink hasn't been vacuumed, and my dog needs a good scrub because golden retriever loves to run in the mud. Winning is
Yeah.
when you come home at the end of the day, house is clean, dishes are done, our dog is clean, and daddy is doing it, and he does not complain. He does have a good smile. To me, that is winning. I'm not looking for millions of that. Do the good work for the people you love in the moment, make a difference.
Yes, yes, yes. I couldn't say that enough. And like I said, this week, my challenge to my team and to everybody was to savor the moment. And that's
Yeah,
exactly it, right? Like savoring that moment that you have scrubbing your dog,
yeah,
that's smiling at you and wagging their tail. Or maybe not. Maybe they don't like it, but
yeah.
I know.
He loves
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, that's absolute. So this season, I have been doing something new where I have a guest and they ask a future guest or my next guest a question. And yesterday I had Randy Sparks. Do you know Randy?
I
Do you know
know.
him? Have you met Randy? Okay.
I'm-
Okay. So Randy has a podcast on gratitude and he wanted to ask you this question. His question to you was, what is a major challenge or painful experience which at the time seemed awful, but now looking back at it, you're grateful and why?
Yeah. So what was awful? I'm not sure if it was awful. It was very hard. Was the experience of me being an immigrant? I'm an immigrant to the
Mm,
country, and this is a nation of immigrants, and you think you just come from the country, coming here, and you go on. I've come to realize as I grow older that has so many layers to understanding your past, your memories, your language, the childhood memories. They don't go away. You may store them away,
mm,
but I didn't fully integrate it. Where did it come from? What did it mean? It's almost things I want to say goodbye and things I want to hold on. So it's almost like having a house that the storage rooms keep piling up. So what was difficult, I felt the weight of my memory.
mm,
What is becoming clearer, there are goodbyes I need to say. Thank you
mm.
I need to say. I'm sorry I need to say. And I'm doing that. And as I'm doing that, I feel it's not just a memory, it's just I'm part of the memory like a river is going forward. And I feel part of it and it moves on. So I feel lighter. I feel like
Yeah.
closet and the attic, they are not storing their. Part of me says, "Dear nanny, my childhood nanny, I love you. I wish I could see you again. I know someday I will
Oh,
see you. Mom, I'm sorry for all the things grief I gave you. I didn't know better, but thank you for all the things you did." So I say those things to the loved ones, and it's been so good. I feel my tribe is with me, and I'm
I
here.
think you need this book. I think this is your next book, like a letter to my past self. I can come
Yeah,
up with
that's
it. I mean,
it.
and then
That's
you can
it.
write these letters. I mean, that's beautiful. I love that.
Yeah,
Oh my
yeah,
gosh, thank you for that. Next week, so I had two podcasts this week because, like I said, it was my savoring week.
yeah,
Next week, I have one podcast, and it's with Blake Lappin. And oh my gosh, if you could meet Blake, he is talk about someone who you instantly feel joyful and connected with. He actually is the president of a company in the logistics industry with me called Spot On. Those are those little like they're little, like their little spot, they're little. I don't know what you technically call. They have a certain name, but they're little cars
yeah,
and they go in between. Um, and anyway, he owns this logistics, this company Spot On, and he's going to come on and talk about how
yeah,
what he's passionate about. So if you could come up with a question for Blake, and he actually has a mascot like me. It's a little spotlight. It's really cute. What would
yeah.
you ask him? He's going
I
to
will-
come on, and he's going to
yeah,
be on Halloween. Even he's coming on Halloween.
that is
So
cool. So here,
mhm.
I'm key on learning, and I know it's your business. And
Yes.
the thing that I did in my life and my book was essential. Always learn. So I would ask Scott that what did you learn this week? What
Oh,
did you learn this week?
okay. We're gonna ask Blake. What did you learn this week?
And
So if
then
he's
pass it on.
listening,
But his job is to pass it on. What did you learn? Pass it on. This is how we become encouraged
absolutely.
to others. What did you learn? And pass it on.
I love that. Again, this is why this podcast is so important, right? Because learning is growth, and without
So,
learning, we don't continue to grow. And so,
yeah,
um, Dr. Ardeshire Mehran, tell everybody, give us a final takeaway, a final word to leave us into the weekend. Tell
yeah, thank
people
you.
where they can find you. I'm going to post your book so everybody can read it because it's the most
Yeah,
beautiful book.
thank you,
Um,
thank you. And this is what it looks like. I hope
yeah,
you
it's
sent to me
really good.
uh,
It has a great the bill of emotional
emotional
rights.
rights. The the takeaway you and I started before the call about invisible part of ourselves.
Mm.
Everybody does it. Next week I will be in Southern California giving a talk to a group of leaders about how do you move from your invisible part, your past, your history, your health or emotional struggles, so on. How do you make invisible part of your identity, bring it forward? Because when we start to live in parts we ignore, we pay a price for that. That's where
Mhm.
depression, anxiety, not feeling well. So invitation for you, my friends, if it's part of you, anything, it's good. It's your heritage. We are born healthy, healing, and we get smacked in the face through life. There's nothing wrong with you. Your experience, hurt, tragedies, invisible part, they are your superpower gifts. Honor them, see them, bring them to your life. Drink a good glass of water when you're thinking about them. And don't deny them, don't push them aside because that becomes unhealthy. Be you as you are in your whole glory and majestic self. That's it. Claim your life.
Excellent. I love that. Tell people where they can find you.
So if you go online, ardeshiremehran.com, my website is there, and there's so much goodies to read, to
Oh,
download,
good.
and blogs, posts. I'm an open source. Have any question, write me, and I answer all inquiries.
Yes, absolutely. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for spending the past half hour with me. You are incredible. Keep soaring, keep changing lives.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much for being
Thank you
here.
so much. Thanks, you,